Hey, all right. So, in starting out in Upwork, the first thing you should know that is you have to think about your mindsets, right? Think about your mindsets. What's your frame of mind with Upwork? And like I would always say, is the first thing is you should be telling yourself is not that Upwork is saturated. I've heard people say that quite a lot. So many people are saying, "Oh, Upwork is saturated." So because of that, I don't want to get in, or when I get in, I'm not sure of um, what I want to do, right? So the critical thing is to ensure that you have the right mindset. I always talk about how God wants us to be wealthy, right? It is God's will that we be wealthy. It's even He said it in His word, right? Don't forget that once you join, mute your mics if you're not speaking, and especially if you're in a very noisy area. Ensure that you fix your mind because everything starts in your mind. If you believe that you can do it, it starts in your mind. If you believe that you are able to get jobs on Upwork, it starts in your mind. And then it starts with your faith as well, your faith in God and your faith in His word, trusting that if He has promised something, He will do it. Now, last year, Upwork sent me a review and said that they had finally, they were able to get their, I think, close to over 100,000 clients to post over 899,000 jobs on Upwork. And like I told everyone in my breakout session, the first things you should think of is if 899,000, that is almost a million jobs, pass through a platform like this, then why shouldn't I be part of the people who are, able to get jobs through this platform? So the first thing is that you need to understand that it's for you, right? It's for you. Uh, God wants you to, you know, um, get these jobs that you desire. Right? Don't forget His word that whatsoever we pray, whatsoever we desire when we pray, believe that you have received it and you will have it. So, and in doing that, you then begin to make critical moves on how you understand how this entire platform works, right? The first things I will expect any new person on Upwork to do is to do what? Create an account. And we will be looking at a very live account today because, like I said, I'm not a talker. Very biased. I have more bias towards execution, right? So we're going to be seeing live accounts, and most of the things I'm talking about, we're going to be seeing it. Uh, like I said, please help me mute yourself when you're not talking. It helps us not to disrupt the class. Now, once you come in, you can see that I created a profile here that is about 40% complete, right? So if you click on, hey, I want to start, okay, even let's go to something like Google and click on Upwork or type in Upwork in your Google, you should see, let me say, Upwork sign up, right? Right. And you will get what we call create an account, right? So once you come to this page, it should ask you to, okay, so see what's going on. Upwork is detecting that I'm already on Upwork, right? And it's saying, no, you can't create another account, right? But for you, once you click on this, if you're very new, you should select I'm a client or I am a freelancer. Okay. Now let's go through that flow again. Come into your Google, type create an Upwork account. Once you click on it, you should see these two. I'm a client or I'm a freelancer, right? Now, once you do that, you should be able to enter your a few things. It will ask you to add a few things as mandatory fields. There are so many things you have to complete, but don't worry, you don't have to complete it all at once. Okay. Now you can add a picture because it might ask you to add a picture, right? And then let's go back. Then it will ask you to add an overview, right? We'll see what that overview means. Then it's going to also ask you to add the third mandatory. The third thing, which is mandatory, is your skills, possibly, right? So a few of these fields are mandatory. Now, anything that is not mandatory, don't worry. Don't worry about filling it immediately. Okay. Don't bother about trying to fill it up all at once. So just pick all the things like your name, maybe your picture, your education, whatever it is that they want you to do first. You will see that it's required to create an account. And once that's done, you click on save, and then you can come into your account. Okay. Now, once you come into an account, whether your profile is complete or not, you should see this complete your profile. So from here, you should see profile completeness or whether it's complete or not complete. Now you can see I signed up as a software engineer, right? But from here, they're telling me, well, it's better you complete your profile because currently you have your profile at just 40%. Okay. Then I will say before you try to apply for any jobs on Upwork, please make sure that this profile is complete as possible. Okay. Now, you're going to see that you have a lot of things to do here, quite a lot of things, right? So don't try to do it at once because it's going to, like someone said in the chat, I think, was it, yes, Onyechi was saying, hey, it was really confusing for me. Don't worry about trying to complete every Upwork setting in one seat, okay? So take your time, come in here and write about whatever is your skill. Please write it, okay? Write it as much as possible. I would say write a brief overview of your skills, everything, and you try to use very, very strong keywords when you're writing on Upwork. Then you see that there is quite a lot of things to do here. So before you start with doing things like availability badge or boosting your profile, make sure first that everything in terms of your profile is filled up, okay? So with hours per week, it just means how many hours do you want to work for, right? Or how many hours are you available, or how do you want to do this, right? Do you want part-time jobs on Upwork? Or if a client asks you to work on a full-time basis, are you available? So that is something we call contract to hire, okay? So I can currently work more than 30 hours, less than 30 hours as needed, open to offers, none. I'm open to contract to hire. So basically you're saying, after working contract, I'm open to a client hiring me full time. That's basically what you're saying. So we save this and we move on. Now you can see that you're asked to work on your language proficiency, right? So if you select English, how fluent are you with English? I hope that you are a native, and if you're not, please select conversational. And that lets someone know that yes, um, you're not very much that you're not very familiar with English. But being that we are very familiar, I always choose fluent or I choose native. And you can say I choose native, basically. Native or bilingual. And then we have your work history. This is really very important in Upwork. If you have already done any work on Upwork, all your work history comes up here, right? And what it does is that it helps you to attract new clients here on Upwork. Okay. Now, portfolio is very critical. Okay. Now, a lot of people, especially people like us who do products, projects, and things like that, we tend to have what we call a portfolio. So portfolio is a body of work that you have done previously, right? That helps you. Yes, okay. Someone asked a question in the chat and says, what if you haven't done any job? It's okay if you haven't done any. It's fine to leave it blank. Okay. Of course, the essence of Upwork is that when you come in, you can find a job. Okay. So, but in terms of this portfolio is really good for people who don't have any job on Upwork. Like you haven't done any jobs on Upwork, this portfolio should help you display some of the things you have done. Let's say you're a content writer, okay, and you've written some really amazing pieces of work. This is a great place to come and display it. Okay. So here you are saying, tell us about the name of the project, right? This is when I did it, right? Select a date, then you select a template. Select a template. Now, in doing this, you're saying, I just want to add, if you add gallery, it's just a collection of pictures of what you've done. So you can add case study. If you're a writer, please use a case study. Why? Because it allows you to display all the text and everything you've written. Also, this shows how the entire thing also displays. For me, I typically use gallery, or I've used gallery, right? Because I took just a collection of pictures of some of the things I've built and I placed them on Upwork. Then you go on to add details. Here you're going to add pictures, okay? So maybe for me, it was just taking screenshots, or you can do a Loom video, right? Or a video of whatever it is you've done. Maybe upload it on YouTube and put the link here, or Vimeo, whichever. Then you can then add your deliverables. So what skills did I use while I did this project? You can see project file. You can see that when you type, a lot of the things come on, right? Now, when you type some of the skills you used, let's say content writing, a lot of those things come up, okay? Let's say content SEO. So then if you want to add the project URL, you can add it. If it's maybe a website, example, you're a software engineer, you did a website, right? It would be great to add the website link here. Put a brief description. So when you're writing the description, ensure that you try to explain what you did, how you did it, how you contributed to that project, okay? And then, of course, you preview it and save it. And that's how you add your portfolio. Now, there are also other parts of your profile that you need to complete. We've talked about filling everything on this part, right? Adding your portfolio, then adding your skills. So here you can add as much skills as possible. In fact, the more you add, the better, because these skills are used to search for freelancers. Okay, so this is like what's tagged to you. So each time somebody searches for project delivery on Upwork, especially searching from the freelancer perspective, this your profile should come up. Okay, so type in as many things as possible. Type in as many things as possible. Anything here that fits, that matches your profile. Anything here, everything. Product roadmap, save. Save as many of them as possible. In adding so many skills, it helps your profile to be very visible. Somebody just said in the chat, what if you don't have any skill? Chiamaka, you cannot have any, you cannot not have any skill, right? I thought we agreed that the essence of doing this is that you are what? You are developing a very key or top skills, right, in the industry. Trust me, you do have skills. You just have to think about which ones. And if you've not started thinking about a niche for yourself, right? An example is like, what do I want to do in addition to whatever it is I'm doing? This would be a great time to start doing that. Why? Because most times that it is your skills that pays your way, right? Um, a excuse me. Okay, yeah. It might not be what you studied in school. It might not be exactly what you studied in your university, right? That pays your way. It might end up being the things that you learned outside of your professional journey. So please start thinking of some skills that you can start learning, to complement whatever profession you're currently in. And then, okay, what next? We then look at our education, right? Okay, so what are your educational skills or a set of education? Where did you attend school? Where did you train? Example is if you're a software engineer, where did you train to become a software engineer? So when you click on this pencil icon, you should add as many as possible, right? Add as many as possible. You can start adding from your university education and add as much as possible. All right, then if you have certifications, please also remember to add them, okay? Add as much as possible as well. Now, you can see here that we have a space here for all your certifications. So you can add manually or you can import from Credly. Now, Credly is a platform that validates your certifications. So if you have some certifications from things like IBM has a very free platform for Africans where you can create an account and start learning some skills. So please take note of this if you're interested in getting to know learning it. Please look at the IBM skills platform. So you can add manually all your certifications. Let's say you're certified in software engineering, or you're certified in content writing, or you're certified in project management, whatever it is you are certified in, add your certificates here. Okay. If you have any stored on Credly, import them here as well. There's a standing integration between Upwork and Credly. Then you can then come in here and add additional employment history. So the more, the merrier. The merrier, the better. Or the more, the better. Whatever. Then the entire need for this is that you come in and share as much experiences as you have. Okay. So don't forget that the people who hire you via Upwork is looking at, okay, what have you done in the past? And how do I ensure that this person, and it doesn't need to be a full employment. You can actually fill up this space based on past experiences. It could be a project basis. Okay, I manage an event, call it whatever you want to call it, right? Just explain it's a contract, and these are some of the key things you did. Now, I always tell people that I teach that you need to add 3 to 5 bullet points, right? Showing your bullet points, showing what? Your accomplishment. So now, what it means is that you're not just saying, hey, this is what I did, right? You're not just saying these are my tasks. You're saying while I was working there, I was able to accomplish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. Okay. And that is why it's very important that you track some of the things you do on your work. Example could be if you're a marketer, you were able to sell products worth maybe 500,000. Okay. Now, this is good because it shows that you are data driven, you're metrics driven, right? And it shows the employer or whoever the client that you understand what is needed of you as soon as you join that organization or you're awarded that contract. Okay. Now, if you have additional experiences, please add them here and add as much as possible. Okay. Like I would say, your experience could be anything, right? But just add them and add so many things. Whatever those experiences where it could be where your leadership experiences, where you led a team of people and you know you were able to accomplish projects with them or the set out goals, you were able to accomplish them. Please try to write them in detail. Your profile is very essential on Upwork. It is very, very essential. Now, when you come to licenses, right, these licenses are for people who whose job require license, right? Example is things like professional roles that require some sort of license. An example is maybe you're a lawyer and you've been licensed to be a lawyer. So if you are a maybe a realtor, a real estate consultant, you have licenses around those areas, anything that helps you to execute your contracts. Now, you have something called video introduction, right? Which is really good, which is very, very good. In as much as I've not been able to do this for my own profile, is something I will always recommend that people do, especially if you're new, right? For someone who has gained some sort of clientele via Upwork, maybe not so much. They know you, and honestly, if you can still add it, please do, right? But if you're new, ensure that you do whatever it takes to create this video. So this introduction video is just like 2 minutes maximum, right? Just telling people on Upwork about how now about how you know what what you like doing, what your skills are. Introduce yourself and just let people know that hey, you're here to help them, how you can help them, and then upload this to YouTube, right? And put the link here. Now, make sure the video meets Upwork's guidelines. And by doing that, you need to click on this link and read it, and then to see how that video fully meets Upwork's guidelines. Okay. Then what's the type of video? Is either that the video is showing samples of your work, or you displaying you talking about your skills and experiences. These are the top videos that they want to see. So it's either that you are the video is about you talking about your work, or um, you know, it could be visual samples of your work. It could be just you in whatever you've built, showing the clients around and saying, "Hey, this is what I built. If you hire me, this is how I'm going to do it for you." Okay. Now, once you've done that, you see. Now, what it helps you with profile completeness is that it helps you to have an edge, right? Once you come onto this platform. Now, there is something that is very critical in Upwork as soon as you join, which is what your hourly pay, setting your hourly pay. Now, this is very critical because you need to look at how much people in your field currently charge per hour. Now, there is a way that Upwork splits categories. Okay, first of all, we have the beginner category, we have the mid-level category, and then we have those who are professionals, right? Now, depending on where you fall, or depending on where you've placed yourself in terms of category, okay, you have to try to understand how this platform works in terms of pricing. I must confess that sometimes people are very, very price sensitive. Clients are price sensitive on Upwork. Now, for beginners, they are looking to pay around anything from $3 to $5, okay, per hour. Now, for mid-level, they could pay anything from $5 to $10, and for expats, they can pay from anything and above. Now, it's not just these three things. I've mentioned this based on the country where you are at. Now, for some countries, they are heavily taxed, okay? And they tend to pay more, a lot more than people in other countries. Example, if you are trying to compare yourself with someone in the UK or someone in Canada or someone in the US, that would be a very big blunder to commit here on Upwork. Why? Because clients understand that you're in Nigeria, and in Nigeria, you basically only have to pay your VAT, right? And everything else is not really mandatory. Now, VAT is 7.5%, and personal income tax will be anywhere from to around 20%. And Upwork has not been mandated by the federal government to charge that um, um, personal tax to your Upwork account. So they understand this, right? Whereas people in other countries may have been mandated, Upwork could take the tax directly from their earnings, right? So meaning that they have to then calculate the tax, right? And then it could be anything from, whatever is left is what they take home. Now, this is what affects the decision on how much they should pay someone within a certain area. So if you are not in that category where you have to pay high tax, and you're not in the country, your profile is not located in the country where you have to pay that tax, then there is no need on trying to charge very high rates. It's always the best to try and charge fees that you can defend, and when you are employed, you're very sure that you can work to your best ability based on what you've charged. Now you can see something that Upwork collects a 10% service fee, right, which is mandatory. Now for a freelancer in Nigeria, Upwork will take this 10% and still charge you VAT. Okay, so what they will charge you is 10 the VAT on the 10% that they have charged to your hourly rate. Okay, so now imagine that I am getting $15 per hour for a job, right? 1.5. They're gonna apply 7.5% to this $1.5 that they are charging me. Okay, which will be less than 0 point something, right? Now, in doing that, that's just all they agree. So let's say you work 10 hours, right? And they are able to, your fee is $150, right? And they are able to charge you $15, then the VAT will be less than $1.5. In total, that is what they will apply to your 150 income, and then the rest will be yours. So in putting in your charges or what you're charging, your hourly rates, you have to be very careful and try to understand how the platform works in that regard. Now, you might say, oh, but how would they know? With Upwork, you have to complete a um, a personal identification verification. Okay, so that means that you are mandated to be verified using one of your local ID cards. So it could be your voter's card, it could be your driver's license or your passport, whichever. Now, I've spoken for quite some time, and I would like to see what we have to say, and if we have questions before we continue. Any questions so far? Okay. I mean, chat. Okay, I have someone whose hands are up. Okay, Prestige, please go ahead.
Go ahead. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, please, I wanted to ask a question because as you were talking and explaining, I was also I just recently created an account on Upwork, and I'm trying to fill up the necessary profiles. So concerning that certification, yes, certifications, what if like you don't have a certificate yet, like on your skill, like based on your skill? What if you don't have like a certificate yet and you have nothing to put there? What will you do?
Okay, so anyone that you don't have a certificate, it's okay to leave it open for now. But one of the things I'm going to say is it's always best to maybe when you take a course to try to get certificates. Okay, what are some of the things like Google project management example? Google courses can give you certificates. I think we have, I don't know if Udemy can give you certificates, but some courses on LinkedIn can also give you certificates. So all those sorts of certificates are actually certificates. Some of the free available courses, a lot of them give certificates, right? So the only thing
Like,
is, I mentioned something like a platform like IBM, right? Somebody said, is it IVM? No, I mean IBM. So let me type that in the chat. Their skills platform is actually a very good place. Yes, somebody mentioned Coursera. Good. Yes, Coursera is a great place for you to also obtain certificates. Okay. Prestige, please go ahead. I wanted to ask additional questions.
thank you. Okay, no, you've explained everything because I'm actually currently undergoing a course and I'm not done with it yet. But they also give certificates, but I'm not done with the course yet for me to be able to get a certificate. So as that now I can't put any certificates there. But according to what you said, I'll follow it. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Then it's also good if you want to upload other certificates as well, right? If you have your school certificates, please do also add that. If you already have it, okay, that's okay. But the core ones, because you're going to notice something when applying for a job, when you're bidding for a work, right? You're going to see an option to attach relevant certificates. And if you're like me and you studied pharmacy, you will see that um, you don't really have any relevant certificate. So no client will want to hire you for the product role, and the certificate you're showing them is pharmacy. Like they'll be like, well, this one is not serious, right? So that is also something to keep in mind and work with. So I'm not just saying it so that you put everything on all at once. Like I said, you wouldn't necessarily have everything all at once. Okay. But it's something that you keep working towards. So what you do is, as you are getting more certificates, you can just come in, update your Upwork once in a while. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you very much.
All right. Then someone says, please always use the Upwork timer for hourly jobs. Yes. Okay, that's good. I have this subscription that also helps me to sort of look at what other people are bidding for on the job. It's really helpful. Of course, you have to pay for that. Okay. Now, this subscription is about, I think when I started it, it was around $12 or so per hour for the month. But currently they charge up to $20 per month for that premium subscription. So what it does is to help you see what other freelancers are bidding, right? So that's one of the things it does. It also gives you at least 80 tokens or credits that you can use to bid for jobs on Upwork. Now, for the Upwork timer, Chidima, do you want to unmute your mic and explain? Now, what I know about timers for Upwork is okay, or maybe we're not saying the same thing. So, Chidima, if you can just explain that. So basically what I use is that subscription that shows me what other people are bidding for on Upwork.
Okay, ma. Sorry. Good evening, ma. Thank you, ma, for the opportunity.
Sure.
Yes. The thing is, Upwork has like the fixed jobs and the hourly jobs. So for hourly jobs, to actually safeguard the freelancer, Upwork created like a timer app. So it's like an app you download from Upwork desktop and you install it into your laptop. So whenever you have an hourly job, instead of putting it like manually, anytime you work hours, this timer works in such a way that it's timing. It's like the clock is going and it's showing the hours that you are working. And if you work for 1 hour, let's say you have a job of $15 per hour. If you work for 1 hour, $15, you see it's there that you earned $15. So it's like a safeguarding measure. And for every 10 minutes in an hour, every 10 minutes, it screenshots what you do and sends it to like their cloud. So whenever the client wants to see what you've done, and if you're really working on what they paid you to do, they look through that before they approve payment. So like that's just it.
Okay, fantastic. So yeah, that's good. So for this time, I will show you how it works. I hope we have time for all these things. Um, So basically, what the time machine is already when you've gotten a job, right? Um, and when you've gotten a job, you can track yourself, right? Um, it has to do with hourly protection, right? So when you track yourself, automatically you're protected, okay? And Upwork will ensure that you're being paid for your job. But then there is something you should know. Hourly timing, or what we call that tracker, actually is optional. So most times, people like me, I'll never use that tracker. Why? Because I feel like um, it, it like it wants to like make it mandatory that you're working at each point in time, which is good. It's really it has to do with what your client wants you to do, and if that's okay by you, then that's fine. All my clients will always enable manual timing, right, and tracking, which they also pay for. So those are two things I just wanted to note there. Okay. So for other questions, please, anyone else with any other question? Any questions? More questions? No. So far, do you understand what we've done so far in trying to set yourself up and set up your profile on Upwork? Please, if you understand everything up to this point, please type in the chat that you do understand everything. Type in the chat. Type in the chat. Okay, so a lot of people have said that they understand. So I guess we can continue. Okay, so uh okay. So someone is asking a question here. Says, hello Ma, though I joined late. This is from Ukechuku. She said, my question is, are there chances for us in the language sector? I believe there is. I believe there is. Now, what you're going to ask yourself is, are there some other skills that I can add to my language skill? Why? Because language is one good thing that um, if you have additional languages, you can actually work in other countries. Okay. Now, I mentioned about teaching English, right, to so many people that require those services. And you can get those kind of services online from Upwork. Translators as well. I know that all these things are possible. You only have to be able to come into Upwork, explore it, because the more you explore, the platform has about 133 or 134 different job categories. Okay. So it's not just it's for lawyers, it's for accountants, it's for operations people, people in project management, and I'm not talking even now of tech-related roles, okay? I'm talking of even non-technology related roles now, okay? Things that you might have studied in school, teachers, teaching, right? You might get people who wants you to teach. I have a friend who is currently doing that. What she does is early childhood, right? And Montessori. And in fact, she was on Upwork and making waves even before I knew about the platform. So she was one of the people who said, hey, this is how we're using Upwork. Okay. So what people have done, even people all around abroad, they will bring her to teach their children or create curriculums for their school or, create curriculum for their special needs children. Okay. So every single person, you only have to ask yourselves, what are some additional skills I need to add to what I currently have? And then how do I then scale what I do? Does that make sense? For the lady that asked about, please let me know if it makes sense for you. Okay, so I want to go in and talk about how then do you apply for work. Okay, she has said this. Okay. Then how then do you come in and apply for jobs and everything? So once you have a really good um once you have a really good profile, okay, which is a profile that has very strong title. I know you saw mine that was just software engineer, but honestly, you need something stronger. And usually you can pile it on maybe you're a software person or you're a teacher. For a language person, let's use languages. I can say something like English teacher, French translator, and then maybe content writer. Three things, right? Three skills that are around the same area that helps you to earn in any of them, right? So what you will see is that more and more people will then decide, okay, where do I want, which skill do I want to consult this freelancer on? Now let's see, in some let's see a live account. And now I've shown you guys a dummy account, but let's see a live account and let's see, okay, what are some of the ways that I can also just apply for jobs? Okay, like you can see from this account is the availability is off, right? But I could turn on my availability, okay, which is what, yeah, I can say, okay, I have so and so connects, all right, and I want to bid that I have availability. Now you can see what happens is basically this availability basically means some sort of ads, right? And having these ads, Upwork says is a proven way to win more work. Sometimes I just turn it off, right? Because I feel like they take too much connect for it. And don't forget that your connect is what is paid for. If you're new on the platform, you might receive some free connects for you to get started, apply to your first few jobs, but you need to be careful so that you can use your connects very well. Okay, you can see here that you can buy more connects. Okay, and you can buy 10 for $1.5. Okay, yeah. And keep in mind that when you are bidding for or when you're selecting the number of connects to buy, you still have to pay. They will charge your account for the taxes. Okay, so going back to where we were, I was talking about a life account. So you can turn on this availability badge. It helps. At least they say it does. I feel that it helps. You can also boost your profile. So boosting your profile, what it just means basically is taking some money and helping to boost your profile. These things are very helpful in helping your availability to improve. Now, for those who talked about work history and not being able to have anything, it's okay. When you come into Upwork, you might have to start with doing jobs at very low rates before you then boost your profile enough that, okay, you can then have like good, what I mean is very good recommendations and referrals like this. Okay. Now, see what I talked about in terms of portfolio. For those who are in software engineering, please link your GitHub account. Very important. Okay. If you have a Stack Overflow account, please add it. Then portfolio, like I said, this is what I did with my own portfolio, right? I have about 5 things I added in terms of portfolio. So basically pictures, and then myself talking about, okay, these are what I did, how I was able to ensure that the project was built. This is what I contributed and all that. Okay. Now our client wants to come in and look at it and say, okay, I feel like she has, or he or she has some skills that I will require. Okay. And ensure that you add a link. If you have a live link of the project, please add it. The more, like I've said, the more the better, right? Now, ensure that you add all the skills that you used to when you implemented the project, right? Or whatever it is. But if it's content writing, put every content writing related keyword. Those are like your skills. Okay. Then explain it. As you can see here, what I did, I write a little bit about the project and say, as the so and so, this is what I did everything. And then I'll come and add what the client said and how I felt, what happened, the feedback I received, and things like that. Okay, so I did this for five things I built, basically, right? So you can come in here and take a look. You don't need to go far. If you want to go see the website more, you can see that that is right here. The link is right here. Now, for your skills, like I said, add as much as possible and add all the ones that allow you to be searchable, right? Because these skills are literally keywords in your industry that are very important, okay? Now, clients, when they come in, search for people with these skills, you're going to show up, right? Don't forget we talked about availability badge. So if your badge is on, good for you, because if clients are searching for people with these skills, you will be showing up at the top of the on top of the feed for them. Now we have something we call project catalog. So it's a new way to earn. So you can have a catalog where you say, okay, I create project documents for people and you can pay me a fixed fee to create that project document for you. Example is I will create a project plan for you in Smartsheet, or I will create a project plan for you in Microsoft Projects. Okay. And you can pay me $400 and I will be done with that project within 2 weeks. That is an example. It doesn't need to take that long. Others will be like, I can consult with you to help you with your schoolwork, okay, your school project, and you need to pay me $100, and the work will take me just 5 hours. That is an example, or a day to deliver. And in doing that, what it means is you have created a catalog for the fixed aspects of your work, okay? So that when people come in, they can select a fixed price project and say, oh, okay, I don't want you to manage the whole project, but can you create like a project plan for me for this project I want to do? And I will pay your fixed price. So in as much as I don't have that, but that is a great way that people are making good money on Upwork. Now, if you have other endorsements, testimonials, please add them. I do have some, but I've not added it here, right? So what Upwork has done with these testimonials is to say, okay, if you don't have any Upwork testimonial, you see that I do have some Upwork testimonials here. But let's say I don't have, what you can do with these testimonials is request a testimonial, right, from outside, let's say from LinkedIn, okay? Request it from people and they will bring it in here for you. So for those of you who are saying, oh, maybe I don't have anyone, that would be a good place to start, okay? That would be a very good place to start. Taking testimonials from other areas of like from LinkedIn, and then appropriating it here for Upwork. Okay, like you can see, I have some verified by Credly certifications. And like I said, most of them you can do them on IBM, actually. So please just go to IBM platform, take some courses, and import them here. And then these are like everything. Now, you want to ensure that you are, okay, then we go to jobs. Now, I want to bid for jobs. So the thing, you click on my jobs, we should bring you to, okay, find work. We should bring you to literally every job. So look at that, completeness of my profile is 100% complete, right? Now, you will see a feed for you. Now, people think that this feed is the same for everyone. It's not. Now, this feed has a lot to do with where you are currently placed, right? In terms of, number one, are you a beginner in your field, right? Or are you a mid-level person, or are you an expert, right? So now with that categorization, you will then see a feed that is customized to you. Everyone's feed will not show up all these things on my feed, right? My feed is showing the things that they feel based on the keywords I attach that I can do. So you can see project manager, marketing experience, expert, project manager, scheduler, administrator, organizational design, all those expert things, right? Because I've said I'm an experienced project manager. Okay. Now we're trying to, the first things that give you an edge when you want to apply for a job is that you understand clearly what the job is about. Okay. So the first thing is you read the job very well. I always tell people, if you don't understand the requirements on the platform, don't bother, honestly, because you're not going to get it. Now look at what's another thing I check is the activity on the job. Look at what's been going on this job, okay? I quickly scanned this. How many people has applied? So proposals, you will see 15 to 20 proposals already. I always look at this for a reason. I want to see how often this client has looked at this job. What it means is the client is monitoring this role and what's going on the job that he posted. Okay. Now, I can see from here that he's already interviewing 13 candidates. Okay. And the invites he sent out, that means he invited specific freelancers to check out this job, and he invited about 30 of them. Okay. Now, you can see that 13 people. So when people answer him, he goes straight to interviewing. Okay. So from the 30 invites he sent out, he has unanswered 17. So 17 people has not responded to his invites, but 13 people has responded. And you can see that the client is viewing it because he just viewed it 43 minutes ago. Okay. Now here, I also see the range of the bidding. Okay. I told you guys that I used to have this subscription. It just ended and I've not, for some reason that I know of personal, I've not subscribed for it again. But what the subscription helps me to do is to see everybody within this category, right? What they are currently bidding. So I will see an average of high, how many people are bidding high, how many are bidding average, and how many are bidding low. Very good, because it will help you to then decide if you want to apply for this job and what to bid for the role. Okay, so let's go back to trying to understand carefully what has been the job that is what has been posted. Now, you look at the requirements. We're seeking an experienced product manager. First of all, if you're not an experienced, don't bother.
I don't know what the future holds. I don't know. So I tell you, enjoy.
Hello, please. If you want to speak, please use your hand raising icon, right? Now, unlike other places where they say experienced, and it could be like a buzzword, most times if people are looking for experienced people on Upwork, they actually want you to be very experienced. The only thing is now you don't know how many years of experience, or sometimes they do what? They actually explain how many years of experience they want. Now, you look at the job description and say, okay, effectively coordinate our SaaS product. Do I even know what they are saying? Try to make sure you understand what is being said. Do you have any experience with, a SaaS product? If you do, fine. Then you come in and see what you're supposed to do, right? Then we're looking for someone who works independently and exec leadership. We expect to be working with you and following your instructions. Okay, so you ask yourself, am I somebody that people can follow, right? If I come into this organization now, am I the person that that they want? Because they want somebody who is very independent, so they are looking for possibly an upwards of possibly 7+ years experience, right? That is as a bias, but I think from 5 years should do if the person knows what they're doing. So you can see, okay, from the job posting, please answer, let's discuss in interview to the question, how long have you been working as a product manager for? Okay, so now they've honestly told you something to do, and if you don't do it, because they said to show that you read this job posting, and they do it a lot here on Upwork. You say, okay, to show that you read it, please answer cheese balls. You'll just be like, okay. And honestly, because a lot of people don't read things and just begin to apply. And what it means is that they come in here and you didn't write cheese balls, or let's discuss in interview what they have asked you to do. You see that you're not going to get that role. And you keep wondering, these people has not responded to me. Now, like I would tell my students, make sure that you take note of everything they have highlighted, so that when you create if you decide, okay, let me apply for this role, or let me apply for this contract, right? If you decide, okay, I want to do that. Now, remember that you already have a list of what they want. Ensure that you put it within your proposal, okay? So you're writing a proposal. You need to show how you oversaw the development and implementation of the SaaS product in a formal product that you've worked on. That is SaaS, please, that is SaaS, okay? Ensure that it meets the required specification. How did you do that? And you ensure that the product was delivered within agreed upon timelines. How did you do that in that formal product that you're talking about? You documented requirements. If you have any requirements documentation that you've done, please attach it to this work. Coordinate sprints using agile methods. Talk about it a little bit, okay? And coordinating between the CEO and CTO. Now, explain that, hey, you understand that they want somebody who can work independently and exert leadership. And this is how you're going to be doing it, and you hope to discuss with them. Now, when you get to this question, please answer, let's discuss in the interview. How long have you been working as a product manager? So what I'll just do is copy this. How long have you been working as a product manager for, right? This is what they asked me to do. Simple. So it requires a lot of detail orientation. Make sure you have attention to detail. Then, now this is just what they expect me to do here. And I'll move on, answer the rest of the questions as they have me. Don't forget I said attach maybe a project documentation, okay? Because they have spoken about that you need to document requirements. I can say, hey, this is a sample. I attached a sample of the requirements that I worked on. Now, I told you something about profile highlights. So per work, you need to you can add some profile highlights. What it means is, what are the key things that relates to this job that you have on Upwork, okay? So the first thing is what? It could be a job, right? I go through some of the things I've done. I say, okay, I have something here, product manager for SaaS, right? And I can say, okay, let me highlight it in this row. Then another thing you can do, you can add it as highlights. Now you can also add a portfolio. Okay, which of my portfolios are very close to what they require? So I can select one, add it to highlights. Select a certificate. Okay, so I have some certificate in enterprise design thinking. I select that and highlight it. Now, what they're trying to do is that you select the most relevant things, right, to that work that you're bidding for, right, and highlight for the clients. So what the client is coming here to look at is the things that are most related to what they want to build. Now, depending on how much you've ensured that this is customized for them, there is a high chance that you will get that role that you're bidding for. Now, another thing that you need to take a look at, okay, I've talked about how I then decide how much I want to bid. So you can see currently that this role, my profile has $30 per hour, but you need to go back and ask yourself, how much does the client want to pay for this role? Sometimes they tell you, sometimes they don't tell you. Now, in a good way to think is if you have the subscription, it will show you what others are bidding. Then you can try to bid not low, depending on where your skills are, not too low, not too high, and well, anywhere between average or a little above average or a little below average. Why? Because you need to also be trying to understand that you're in Nigeria, right? For those who will bid high, they're probably in countries where they're going to be taxed a lot higher. Okay. Now, Upwork has this thing where they say, okay, how often do you want a rate increase? You can answer this anywhere you want, but I will always say don't sabotage your success by being greedy. Okay. Now, you can say, or you can say never if you see that it's a very short project. Never is good too, because these are all the things, these little movie parts are all the things that a client can be looking at. Or you can say, well, okay, let's do every 12 months. And we can do 5 or 10% at the most. If you don't want it to be too cumbersome, you can do 5%. Now, Upwork will plot for you what will happen in 4 years if you earn this 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, and 48 months. So basically saying, hey, client, and it's showing you, but it's also showing the client, right? Hey, if you work with this person is saying that within 12 months, you have to pay them additional 5%. And of course, if they work with you via Upwork, Upwork will insist that that increase is done at the times that you have agreed. Now, another beautiful thing to come and do, depending on how much you believe that you are most qualified for this job, you come and do what you bid, you make a bidding, right? To boost your profile to be at the top of the client's proposal list. Okay. Now, depending on how much I want to really get that role or do that job, right? I could set it for a little more than others. So what happens is that if a client is looking at that job, when you set it a bit higher than others, like now the highest here is 19. If the client is looking at it, I will be maybe 20. So currently I'm topping. Okay. If I send in this bid now, this proposal, okay, and I have a client that is very consistently checking this page, it will appear at the top of this list. He will view it, okay, and maybe if there are more people, they come out, they bid higher than myself, and by the time the 1, 2, 3, if I drop out within this bid, Upwork will refund me my bid money. Okay. So you have to be strategic enough with how often is a client viewing that page. Okay. Now, if it's somebody that views often, honestly, you just get seen. But as more people come in, and then their bids come on top and they top you, you'll be knocked off, and those people on top will collect your place, and Upwork will refund the bid money or whatever the bid connect is. Now they will say something to you, hey, this person you've fallen off the top of the bid, but don't worry, we'll still show your profile to the client. So don't worry, all the proposal you did, everything, will still show it to the client. It's now left for the client to decide whether you're qualified or not. Okay, then you send it and you are as ready, and you stay and wait. But like I said, your mindsets also matter. Now, there is a great way to know that a client really favored you, right? You might get the job, you might not get the job. It all has to do with, but to know if they favored you, they might message you, they might send you a message, and it will show up below, right? They might say, hey, okay, tell me more about this, or can we have a conversation based on your profile? I liked what you submitted. I'd like to speak to you. Now, if a client likes you, they will schedule a meeting and invite you. You talk about what you have posted. Make sure it's something like that you can defend. It's always better if you can defend it. And always be prepared. Now, I've spoken again for a while, so I'm going to stop sharing for a bit and see if we have questions. Okay, so any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, so I have some comments in the chat. Oh, somebody said they're not seeing anything. Sorry. Were you seeing my screen? Anyone? Okay. So Chidima said she was seeing my screen. Okay. So Onyechi wants to ask a question. He has her hands raised. So please go ahead, Onyechi.
Okay, good evening, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. My question is, as a beginner, when you are opening your Upwork account,
yeah,
I know they bring out a beginner, intermediate, experts, and all those things. But is it advisable to choose the expert as a beginner, or is it best to choose a beginner when you're opening your account?
honestly,
because someone told me that Upwork, they will always go for the experts, not the beginners.
Yes, but instead of going straight to experts when you're still a beginner, honestly, because it has a way that it backfires, right? Is either that you don't have enough, in your portfolio, and somehow you might not have enough in your, in your work experience, and then you see you won't get hired, right? Because with experts, they're actually looking for people who have enough in their portfolios, who have testimonials, who have received they have so much, maybe even feedback from upper clients. Okay, so we don't want it to backfire like that. The only way you can pull it off, and like I said, I never say nothing is impossible, but the only way you can pull it off is if you have enough of this, right? You're really sure that you have a robust profile, a robust portfolio, a robust everything. So it could just be that you're a beginner in Upwork, but not that you're not an expert in what you do, right? And that's the way you can pull it off. But if you're a beginner in terms of even every sense of the word, you're just starting out. I think that maybe because if you're too fearful that, okay, if I'm in a beginner, it will be too competitive or the jobs will be fewer, maybe do something around intermediate. Okay, but always know that because clients on Upwork are looking for both competency and the amount that they pay, you have to be very careful, because you can do a job and you don't understand how to manage the nuances of that job, and it will backfire. Now, what you didn't see, and I'm not showing you, is the fact that when customers rate you, or when clients rate you on Upwork, they have what we call a success score, right? So if your success score was 100%, and all of a sudden it's now less than 100%, or it's really low, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to like that. But yeah, this is a risk. It could be a risk you're willing to take. But the truth is that if you don't know, if you haven't built a client base on Upwork already, people who come in say you that you're free and just come in and give you jobs and give you contracts to run for them, maybe for a short while, it could backfire. I'm telling you why, because you might not get jobs, right? But or it might take you some time. So instead of going straight to expert, if you are beginner in every sense of the word, not just a beginner or upward, okay, then maybe take it slow. right? You can start your profile on beginner and then slowly, maybe in a few months or a few weeks, move it to intermediate. That's also doable. But if you don't want to, be a beginner right from start, you can just start with intermediate. But what you should know is that there will be lots of sacrifices if you want to make it work. You're going to have to study hard, you're going to move quickly in terms of what are the things people want, how should I make sure that when I pull off this contract, I will have good reviews so that people can come back to me and more people can hire me. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Right. Somebody said, can you give us a sample of proposals that you wrote that got you jobs? And we have 3 upvotes. Really funny. Okay. Are you going to pay me for that? I could honestly give to you. But please pay though. You agree? All right. So someone is saying, hi, good evening. Please, here's my question. As anyone who knows nothing about Upwork, how do I set up my Upwork profile? And as someone who doesn't have a university certificate, can I still make sales on Upwork? Absolutely, you can. You can. Like I said, it has everything to do with the skills you bring. Okay, I've talked us through how to set up our profile on Upwork. I don't know. I have the recording and I will try to share. Okay. So that you can start afresh. So that was what we did in the first half when we started. That was everything we did. It was just how to set up our profile and how to ensure that we have 100% profile completeness. Okay. Now you can. And another good thing, if you want to, even if you don't have a university certificate, a good way to earn a lot of money is to sell other people's products. So tech sales is actually it's stressful, but honestly, you can be making a lot of money from it. Okay. And if you enjoy selling, right? You enjoy selling, you enjoy um, sharing great products with other people. That's a good way for you to also earn a very good income. Yeah, so any other questions? Someone said maybe share. Okay, let me show, maybe not share, but show a very good example of what I mentioned about a a proposal converting a proposal that can convert your clients. Let me show something. Yeah, so please drop more questions if you do have them. If you have more questions, please drop them. Okay, so I will show one.
Recording in progress.
Okay. I will show one proposal, okay, that converted. Okay, so let's look at this together. Now, we had a role. This was in December, right? And they were like, hey, this is what we wanted. We're excited to be hiring qualified software project managers to help us do virtual project managers for ongoing enterprise labor management SaaS software implementations. Your role will be to work with our US-based client-facing PMs and work with them to help create a project plan, timeline, create business requirements, communicate both internally and with clients in general. In your proposal, see another thing. In your proposal, please include something to us about your leadership style and your PM philosophy, right? We do not prefer to work with agencies, but we rather individual contractors. Okay, so what I also did mention is that in Upwork, you can also have an agent, right? And sometimes clients say, hey, I don't want agencies. I want to work with individual persons. So if you do have an agency, if they're accepting an agency, go ahead and apply with your agency account. So because with your agency account, you can do what? Employ other people. But then they give a range. Hey, this is what we want to pay, right? And we were like, hey, okay, that makes sense. These are the skills you need to have. Agile, technical project management, and all that. So this was the cover letter, right? Someone was saying, hey, let's see your proposal. Okay, so dear client, I'm very excited to apply for your project of doing virtual project management for ongoing enterprise labor management. I've read your project description and I have the skills. This is always good to add. I have read your description, right? So that means that is either you say the job description, if it's a job, or the requirements description, or your requirements in general, depending on if it's a contract job or if it's a job role, anything, right? And I believe that I can do this and this and this. I have so and so, explain, hey, these are the things I've done, experience. I have worked in so and so. Then you come in and say, I understand that you need. These are really good words to add because it means number one that you read it and you understand what they need, right? You need someone to do technical skills with your blah 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 and create timelines. And then say, these are okay. After going through all these things, these are where areas I can help you with understanding the scope. So you can list them as much as possible. Then don't forget that the clients say, hey, I want to see what your leadership style. So you talk about your leadership style, which is collaborative and empowering. And then you also talk about what your PM philosophy, right? Because that's what the client is looking at seeing. Then I'm confident that I can deliver a successful project that meets your requirements. Now, of course, they want to also see that you have pedigree, right? That you're somebody that they can trust, who have actually handled a lot of projects. So if you have, like I've said, as much as you can add the name, and then I would like to discuss with you. And you can see that I did have so and so communication, and the clients came in and say, hey, okay, I think I like you, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to have a conversation with you and send you invites. Thank you for sending over your proposal. Will you be willing to do a pre-hire assessment? And that was from where we started. And I got that role and I did it for them. Okay. So, any additional questions now that I've shown you something? Additional questions? And you can see that the client had about 20 to 50 proposals for that singular role, and yet he still got hired. So questions. We are approaching the end of our time. Yes, no, you're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. I hope this class has been impactful. Please, if you have additional questions, please ask so that we can cover all the areas that you'd like us to. Another thing I want to say is that there are also other platforms that you can explore. Freelancer.com is another freelancing platform that you can check out as well. But one thing is, if you understand one platform, and you receive insight on how to deeply, you can notice that the way I talk about Upwork is really data driven. And it's because I've tried things, right? So I spent some money, I try things, and then I try to see if it works. And if it doesn't work, I know it didn't work, and then I go try something else. Okay. And that is the way to go. Okay. So whichever platform you decide to use, someone is asking, how's Fiverr? I've not used Fiverr. I feel like Fiverr is more creative oriented, right? I'm more like in the management side. I've not really used Fiverr. But if I want to do a little bit of, I might try freelancer.com. That is another great way to, I think I might get roles that are in my line there. Now, so try things, have an open mind. I wish I can tell you that it will be free or it will be easy, but usually it isn't. So you need to come into the platform first. You need to come into the platform and try as much as possible. Buy your connects. Okay, try a few things, see what works for you. Okay, and then learn from there. Okay. If you do have money, do that subscription, I think, and then leave your profile on, boost your profile, leave it on, like we said. Also leave your availability badge on, okay? Then subscribe for premium Upwork. See if it makes a difference. Okay. So these are all the kinds of things to do. So sometimes you see, I'll switch off my availability badge, boost my profile, maybe do a subscription, see what works. Did it work? Was it better this week or this month? Okay. And all this I still do and do other things I have to do. Okay. So learn how the profile or the platform works and try a few things and see what works for you as well. So somebody is saying, is there any platform to upgrade my language skills and get internationally recognized certificate to add to my profile as a language instructor? I believe there should be. I believe there should be. Checking platforms like Coursera, even Udemy, right? I don't know if there is any courses on, if there are language courses on, okay, even the language courses, I think these guys have an internationally, Duolingo has an internationally acclaimed certificates that you can email them and say, how can I get your certificates, right? Email them. I know that some other organizations can have more. I'm not sure what your language is, but I'm sure that as you look through, you will see. I know Allison as a platform might have some languages, language courses. Not sure of others, but I know there are things out there. Just have to be willing to check. Or if it's French, there are plenty. I feel like there are plenty. Like I said, Duolingo for one can give you a good profile. Then check Allison. Then do some more searches online as well. Okay. Any more questions, or are we good to go? So I'm going to share our recording, and people who are not able to catch up, maybe because of the internet, because I can see that a lot of people were going in and coming out. I know there might have been internet issues. Please drop your questions for me if you still have more. And when you try out some of these things, if you do have questions, I'm happy to assist you. Okay. In the absence of other questions, I want to say have a very good evening and have a peaceful rest of the weekend and an amazing week ahead. Bye.